In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your vapor canister on your Toyota Camry. It's located behind the gas tank in the rear. You're going to need to remove your exhaust. You're going to drop it down. Most likely, you're going to remove your flange here and remove this bracket. And then at the end where your muffler is, there should be another attachment. These are 12mm sockets. This is the flange you're going to disconnect. Your bolts may or may not be intact. Ours obviously don't look so good. We're going to have to use a torch to remove this. Hopefully you do not have to. There should be nuts on the other end. And disconnect it. There's a gasket inside, so make sure you have a gasket ready to go to put it back together. For these hangers, you're going to want to put some rust penetrant on the studs that are holding the rubbers to the body of the car. That'll help slip them off. Use a pry bar. It's probably easier just to disconnect your muffler from these rubber hangers. Do the same as you did on the other side, and make sure you have somebody to help you remove the exhaust once everything's disconnected. I would save these for last. Disconnect the front first. You're going to want to remove the cover to the fuse box that's under the hood. I'm on the driver's side. Then you're going to remove the relay, that's the third one in, and set it aside. This is for the fuel pump. Now we're going to get in the vehicle and we're going to turn the car on and try to get it to start. It won't start most likely. And we're going to depressurize the fuel system. That should be enough, and that will depressurize the system. We're going to remove our rear seat. To do that, you're going to pop up on the bottom here and pull it out. You're going to have to remove your seat belts. Just push them through. Do the same on the other side. Then you can remove your seat. We're going to free up our wire here. Just use a flathead screwdriver and work your way around. And then that should be free. And now we're going to pry up on the cap. Again, use like a pry bar or a flathead screwdriver. There should be some sticky stuff that's holding it on. Just going to separate it out. You can pull this rubber grommet thing through if you need to. Get it out of the way. Now we're going to disconnect our connectors. To do that, you're going to push down on the tab here, and there's one here. Push down and pull. I'm just going to clean it up before I remove the rest of the connectors. If you need to, use a pair of pliers and remove that. Now we're going to take the wire out of here. Makes it easier. I'm just going to take this out completely, and then make sure you don't get the adhesive on anything because it's really hard to get off after, so I'm going to just leave mine where it won't get stuck to anything. Next up is this line. We're going to remove this line. You're going to need a small screwdriver, flathead, and take out the lock. So just pull it out from back here. Be careful not to let this go flying. You're going to need to pull this lock out all the way and set it aside. And now we're going to take our line out and set that aside as well. Before removing your straps on your gas tank, you're going to need to jack up the tank. You can either use a tool like the one we have, and if you don't have that, then you're going to want to use a jack on one side at a time. So using a 15mm socket with an extension, we're going to slide it through between the sway bar and the frame of the car and the tank, and you're going to see two bolts, one on each side. Do the same thing on the other side. So what you're going to do is pull down on the strap. It might be stuck to the bottom of the tank. You may need some rust penetrant, which I'm going to put right in this hinge here. So you're going to pick it up. And there's a little peg in there. You're going to push the peg through using your fingers or a punch. You can't get your fingers in there. Get a pair of pliers. And remove the pin, and then your strap will come down. So just guide the strap out. You may have to finagle it a little bit. And remove it. Now we're on the driver's side, and we're going to remove the strap up here. Do the same thing. You're going to push it up, and you're going to find that little peg. I had to use a punch to push the pin out, and now I'm going to grab it with some needle nose pliers that have a little hook shot on them. Hopefully you don't have this problem. And there we have it. So now we're going to remove our strap, same way we did on the other side, and set it aside. We're going to remove this clamp to remove this filler neck. To do that, you're going to push these two tabs out and remove the clip. Put that aside. You're going to need that later. I'm just going to make sure that this hose is free to move, which it is, so when we lower the tank, it'll come off easily. Using a 10mm socket, we're going to remove this bracket so there's a little bit more play for the e-brake as I take the tank down. So now we can move that freely, get it out of the way when needed. I'm going to remove this one as well using a 10mm socket and an extension. Remove this with a 10mm socket, and that will also help get your e-brake out of the way for when we drop the tank. Just going to put this up over here. So there's two ways you can do this. You can take this plastic piece off. Ours is broken, or you could disconnect your line from the plastic clip. Just be gentle when you remove it. And as I said, ours is broken, so as long as you get the line disconnected from the tank. We're going to do the same on the other side with this e-brake cable as well. Remove the bolt. Now we're going to go in and use some hose clamp pliers. I highly recommend using these. I've tried many things. This is the best bet. Push this in and release the evap line. Now I'm going to lower my tank down a little bit. There is one more thing that we got to disconnect at the top, but I can't really get to it without lowering the tank down. So just make sure you're not snagged on anything. When you're lowering your tank down, you are going to want to tip the tank towards the front going down, and the back side of the tank that's in the rear, you want to tip that up so you can get past that sway bar. Once you get it past, you can then level it out a little bit more, put a ratchet strap on, and then you can start lowering it down in order to get that last line at the top that goes to the evap canister. To remove this connector, it's kind of a pain, so you're going to need, unless you have a special tool, you're going to need to use a couple of picks, and you're going to need to push these tabs in when it's down here to get it past this lip right here. And once you get one up, then you can do the other side and just walk it back and forth, and then it should come out. So I'm going to show you one more time. These two lips snap underneath this, and you need to push them out one at a time and walk it off. Make sure your e-brake is out of the way as we lower the tank for the rest of the way down, and make sure you have it strapped in so it doesn't fall on you. And now we're going to lower it the rest of the way. Using a 14mm swivel socket and an extension, I'm going through the bracket underneath between the gas tank where it used to be and the trunk. There's a little access hole and you can get to this bolt. Do the same on the other side. Use the same tool. To make it easier, because it's really hard to get in here, I'm going to disconnect my lines. You're going to move your hose clamp back. And you want to twist it to free it up from the line. Pull that off, set it aside. You want to push it on these two tabs and push the harness through the bracket, and that'll release it from the hold. And do the same on the one in the back. Ours is a little broken in the front here, and I don't think I can get to this back one without breaking it, so I'm going to replace mine with zip ties. All right, now I'm going to take my harness down. You can remove this. You might need a trim tool to pull that out. Now you can pull this closer to you so we can get to this line in the back. In the back here, we have the same style clip as we do on the gas tank that I showed you earlier. So now we're going to use our quick connect tool, 3/4 quick connect tool. You're definitely going to need this tool to do this particular line back here. You're not going to be able to get it any other way. So you're going to slide it on so that the thin side out goes underneath the line, and then you're going to push it down and twist it and pull really, really hard. And then you're going to disconnect that line in the back. Now we're going to remove our quick disconnect tool and remove the canister. So now we're going to remove this and attach it to the new one using the screwdriver method. The quick disconnect doesn't fit over this, so you're going to have to use the two screwdrivers or the one. And now we're going to install this after we get the canister in the vehicle. We're going to install our canister. Bracket side up. Line it up. Make sure you get past that harness on the other side. And there is a little guide. So that goes in this hole there. Then your bolt hole should line up. You can get that started. Now we're going to line up this side and get our bolt started. Now we're going to snug this up and do the same on the other side. We're going to snug this side up as well. So now we're going to put our harness back where it belongs. Our zip ties are broken, so we secured them with more zip ties. So I'm going to put this hose on. Just slide it on. There's no clamp. Same way you took it off. It should click into place. Now I'm going to put this hose on. It's the next one over. Use some pliers to put the clamp back. Now we're going to put our tube back on the canister, and you're going to slide it back into place so you hear it snap in, and make sure it's secure. This is going to go to the tank. We have our tank on the jack, and now we're going to jack it up. Okay, so before we go any further, we are going to connect our fuel line to the fuel pump while the tank is down. We're not going to do that in the back seat this time. That way, we know it's in there and we're not going to lose it maybe on top of the tank when the tank's all the way up against the body of the car. We don't want to have to do this twice. So push it down and lock it in. You can move the line out of the way if you need to be able to get that clip back in. And it's locked in. So now we know that's where it belongs and it's not going to get lost up top here. Now I'm going to connect my evap canister hose to the tank. Make sure you hear that click. Means it's locked in. Now I'm going to take this off for the filler neck. And if you have anything else attached to your tank that doesn't belong there, now's a good time to take those off. I'm going to tilt my tank back so that the back of the tank is lifted up so it gets over that sway bar, and so it also reaches those lines. I'm going to go up a little bit. Make sure you don't get stuck on that. And get it up and over that sway bar. Now I'm going to connect my evap canister hose to the tank. Make sure you hear that click. Means it's locked in. Make sure as you're jacking your tank up that these two notches are lined up with these two curves in the tank. So if it's not, do that now before you keep going. So up here we're going to connect our line and we're going to connect our filler neck. To do that, I'm going to start with the line first. I'm just going to press it on. Make sure you hear that click. And make sure it's locked in. So I've jacked up the tank a little bit more. Now I'm going to push the filler neck onto the tank. Once you feel like it's all the way down, you're going to put your lock on. Make sure it's lined up on the other side as well as this side. And that should be what it looks like. I'll just try to pull it off and make sure it's locked. Let's continue. Now we're going to tip the front of the gas tank up so the back end of it goes down a little bit and release our ratchet. Now that we have the front lifted up a little bit and it's in the hole, we're going to go up a tiny bit more till it stops and attach our straps. That didn't really take much. I guess we're there. Put the strap up above your sway bar link. Slide it towards the back and up above that cross member. And now we're going to line up our strap on the other end and put the peg through. Now you have your strap up in there. You're going to put that peg through. I started it from the inside and I'm working my way out. And it usually just sits right in here and then falls down once it's in. Do the same on the other side. Let's get our bolt started. I'm using an extension and a socket. I'm going to put it through the strap first and aim my way up. So once you get your bolt started, you can tighten it down. Once you get it snug, go about a quarter of a turn more and then do the same on the other side. Now that we have the straps installed, we're going to lower our jack. Now we're going to start putting our e-brake cables back on. So just line them up, the bracket, and put it on the studs. And we can get our nut started on both sides. We're going to tighten it down. Do the same on the other side. And now we're going to put our bolts in on the side underneath the control arm. All right, line up your bracket. You may want to squeeze that bracket closed with a pair of pliers. I'm using a new bolt. And tighten it down. Do the same on the other side. Put your fuel line back in the clip that was here. As is broken, we're going to have to figure out a different solution. Make sure you remember to do that. Now we're going to connect our connectors. Make sure you hear that click as you click it into place. Now we're going to put our cap on. Press down, make sure it adheres. And now we can put our seat back in, position it, and then get your seat belts ready to get through. So put them through the holes. There's a little plastic flap that you want to open up, and then push the seat belt through. You might need a pair of pliers to pull it out the rest of the way, and do the same on the other side. Once you get it started, you can use your pliers again to get it out the rest of the way. All right, now you're going to line up the bottom here and push it into the locking tab that's in the bottom. It should snap in like that. Do the same on the other side. Make sure it's lined up. Now we're going to put our relay back. Press it in, make sure it's lined up correctly, and put your cover back on. After you put your relay in, you can put your fuel in the tank. Now we're inside the vehicle. We're going to turn our key on. So we're just going to turn the key on and make sure that fuel pump goes on. It's got like a hum to it. And I'm just going to prime the system by doing that a few times. At this point, we're going to want to put our exhaust back on. But before doing that, make sure you replace your gasket that goes right here. And also clean off any surfaces, make it clean so you don't get any exhaust leaks. Put the exhaust back on and start it up afterwards. Make sure it runs well, and then take it for a road test.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.